It is the Between You and I podcast, and this is episode 26. I'm going to say it like that every time. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah, you got to emphasize
it. Right. Well, today we finally get to do our part 2 with my friend Nils Bernstein, because the first time we had him on, we talked a lot about Seattle and the music scene, because Nils and I are really interconnected through my time in music, and he grew up in Seattle. And when we got done with the first one, he was like, wait, we didn't even get to talk about all the philosophical things that we wanted to. So we have finally done the part 2, and we run the gamut. Don't you think, Ryan, on this one?
Oh yeah. I mean, we covered all sorts of topics.
We had to pull ourselves out of the dark here somewhere in it, because we were really going down a topic that was like, whoa, we didn't realize we were going to go so dark.
I mean, yeah.
But there's dark and laughter and joy and enjoyment. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with Nils Bernstein. And if you like, subscribe. If you like what you're listening to, please pass the word. You can hear us on iTunes, Spotify, and all the things. And we also have a website that is www.betweenpodcast.com. And we just hope you enjoy it. Thanks. Hey, everybody, it's Friday, and this is the Between You and I podcast. This is episode 26. Frankly, we already thought the podcast started, and you're getting this intro now. And we are doing part 2 with my friend Nils Bernstein. Super psyched, because this part 2, first, part 1, we went and talked about music, everything, right? Because there's so much history with the both of us. And then we were like, hey, man, we didn't even get to talk about all the philosophical stuff. And so we're like, we got to part 2 this thing. So
we only made it up to, 95 or something. We got it.
Exactly. I'm sure we'll touch on something musical, but
yeah,
for those listening, I'm sorry, but we want to have deep conversations. So here we go. Well, I mean, last time I touched base with you, you had really pointed out that you had listened to the podcast with Deja, I think. Mm-hmm. And you were like, and that's what struck you. You were like, holy hell, that conversation. Like, I want to have that conversation. And yeah. I was like, oh yeah, any day, all day. What out of that conversation struck you the most, I guess, topic wise? Or
it was funny. I mean, part of it was just, it was nice to have both your voices in my apartment.
That's cool.
Like, I can, kind of like hanging out with both of you, but I feel like you both were kind of zeroing in on all this insight that you kind of like, sometimes people you've known a long time, you fall back into these inside jokes and these back and forths, and you don't really bring up heavier topics. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting to have you guys kind of, probing into your experiences in music, which is mostly what you were talking about. Mm-hmm. And, just because it's like I lived those moments with both of you, so I don't talk about it, because why would we talk about it? Because we experienced it. Mm-hmm. But when you look back on it and talk about it, and you see all the perspective you have on it now, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, some of it, I think, for her and I, or I guess I can just speak for myself too, was there were all the things that just personally happened to me, right? Like, everybody in the end has something to sort out or whatever that nobody saw, right? Mm-hmm. That I certainly didn't talk about. And so what's nice now is like, oh my God, I get to talk about it. But I always feel like when I was in Hammerbox, not so much goodness at that point, but everything was so new to me. And frankly, mm-hmm. prior to being in a band, like, I was a pretty introverted person. You know what I mean? Like, everyone else was the star of the room but me, I swear to God. And so that's who started being in bands. And that really didn't leave. I mean, for some reason, getting on stage, they're another person on the inside, apparently. But the other introverted person was still around. And I feel like that part of me had some coping and enduring that went on.
Right.
Because things were going fast, too. So it was it was a certain kind of scene as well.
And in the moment, you don't really talk about it, especially when you're younger and when you're going through things like fear and anxiety, you don't talk about it because that'll exacerbate the fear and anxiety.
Right.
It's not a thing that you generally talk about when you're younger. So it's interesting for me to hear now about kind of struggles during what was an exciting, happy time, for somebody, kind of looking from the outside, but to be able to talk about these kind of, times of anxiety or loneliness or whatever.
Yeah.
From a perspective of having survived it. And you can look back kind of you can talk about it really openly because you've grown from it and you experienced it, survived it.
Well, and I don't think all of us were in our 20s. I don't think I would reach out because none of my friends were equipped either. God bless everybody. But I mean, it wasn't like any of us knew. We were just, that's the 20s, right? You're just banging around like, doing what and it is really fun. Like those are amazing times. There's plenty of times I look back and go, oh, that was I like that. I like that era. That was amazing because there were so many things that made it great, especially Seattle in that time.
Yeah.
Cool apartments, great friends. It was small enough where you literally just villaged around, like I'm going over here to your house, Nils, and then I'm walking down literally Pine, to downtown to the warehouse I live in, So, and being in bands during that time, I think that a lot of that was exciting. I think the things that kind of came out for me later, one of the general things I figured out was I didn't really know it until later. Like, there's sort of that midlife point where you actually stop. Things have over, 15 years have now truly piled up. And there's this natural moment where you go, oh God, I don't feel so good or whatever. So you got to kind of look back and go, well, what happened here? Like, cause you really,
after 15 years of not feeling so great, it's like,
it does catch up. Yeah.
It certainly does. Well, it looks like I have an opportunity to think about it now. Yeah. And I think one of the things, like a really internal thing was I go, oh, I did a lot more enduring than I thought.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have thought about it because I was doing something, but it was happening fast and I didn't have the maturity to necessarily have some sort of strong stance in order to make a decision, whatever. So you're really just quickly enduring a lot of things, some of which were, maybe hurtful or scary or depressing, but you don't know to stop and go, I mean, you feel it. Yeah. But at the same, you're reactive, and then I don't know, then something else is happening. But if you do that, that happens, over years, and then you end up in some place going, wow, why do I feel kind of worn out and depressed? You have to kind of look back and go, like we haven't really. I have said, like, I didn't really stop during, I think, all of Hammerbox and Into Goodness, even to the end of Goodness. I didn't really stop and go, hey, Care, how you doing?
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, though, you're not really given the chance to do that. Touring is really exciting and great for a lot of people, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I would go like with a band for 3 days and be like, oh my God, this is so weird, and then go home. But talk about endurance. That's what touring is. And you don't really have the option to not tour. And so it's like so much of what you're doing, it's not like, gosh, I should have looked back, checked in with myself and called it, shut it down for a moment. You don't really have that option, It's your job, it's your social life, you have a million people that are reliant on you. And so it's not really I think a fault when people don't do that. You just don't really have the opportunity to take, what's the word?
Yeah.
Take, measure of what's happening.
Well, and you don't know anything yet. So you're kind of doing all the learning, at that time. And that doesn't mean you necessarily quickly lead to like a decision, right? Like, oh, this, no, that, like, I always think like I need to be hit on the head like 5 times before I'm like, you know what? I don't really like that so much.
Well, also, people, I think well, obviously they do this, they add to it. They're like, okay, checking in. I feel weird. This isn't quite working. I'm not, so I'm going to add some alcohol, or I'm going to quit alcohol. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start taking some medication. I'm going to do a lot of cardio. I'm going to take up running. I'm gonna, you kind of develop these kind of survival mechanisms or these things that instead of kind of dealing with the source thing, you find all these ways to manage it.
Yes.
Which, even if they're healthy, exercise or stopping drinking or something, they're still like Band-Aids in a way. You're not looking at the bigger picture.
Well, and didn't you think you would rationalize a lot of things? Like that something was somehow okay?
Yeah.
Like it would be a full-on rationale about why it would be okay. And sometimes because you didn't want it to end, you weren't loving it, but you don't want it to end, especially music or getting somewhere in music, you might endure and rationalize because, oh God, what does it mean if you don't? You're going to stop? Like
what's an alternative? Just to like walk away? That's
which, yes.
In the moment, it doesn't feel like an option.
Right.
And that's the thing. I mean, with so many things, like I still see, friends that are in their 50s now, and they're talking about, well, I can't move into a smaller house, or I can't leave my spouse, or I can't. It's like, well, you can do anything,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to, in a way, as you get older, those changes become more urgent, not less urgent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that plays into a lot of things I talk about when I do coaching. We sort of look at like, what are the stories that you're living by?
Yeah.
The whole I can't. And I'm like, is that true? Like, why is that true? I mean, it's really Byron Katie. If you've ever read Byron Katie's stuff.
I know the name, but.
You know the name? Well, she does this program called The Work, and it's like 4 steps. And she basically takes a person's statement or story and walks them through 4 steps. And, the person will say like, my husband's being totally disrespectful because he never does the dishes. And her first question is that true? And then they'll be like, well, yeah, because he never does the dishes. And then she'll say, well, do you know for sure that that's true? Like, do we know, like, and then it's at some point she basically has you flip it around and she says, who would you be without that thought?
Wow.
And that's where you just either get really peeved. Like, it's really hard work. It's like, God damn it.
That's a good question. Yeah.
I mean, it's really good because that's, it's kind of what we are, these series of things that we tell ourselves about our identity or what we need or what makes us happy. And they're not necessarily true. They're just beliefs and they're comfortable.
Yeah.
But, we can be wrong about ourselves. We're wrong about ourselves all the time.
Well, and big decisions are hard and painful, more painful. I think people are more afraid of pain or hurting someone else or the pain because
unknown, I think of, well, what if now I'm with you, I do want to make a change, but then what do I have? If I make that change that we've decided I need to make, well, then where am I?
Right.
And know what? Maybe I'm worse off. So maybe I won't make the change after all.
It's very easy to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You're used to the routines that come with it.
Carrie just told us she endured for 15 years.
Right.
It's a long time.
The human will is amazing to suffer.
You get used to that managing all these things at once without actually going like, wait, I don't need to endure the uncomfortableness. I can just kind of fight through it and get to the other side and make the change.
Yeah.
Be uncomfortable, but at least we'll get the change done in the end.
Well, and sometimes I feel like when you're younger, you just don't have that wisdom. You just don't. No. I mean, otherwise I'd be beating myself up real bad, but you just don't. You don't have it until you experience it and do whatever thing comes along. But to what you guys are talking about, I think also the unknown, that's a huge one. And I also think it would have to put the question in someone's head, like, how do you view the world? Do you feel safe in the world? Do you feel like, quote unquote, the universe takes care of you? Like, do you live by any of these things? Or do you feel like shit's just thrown out into the wind and you're completely out of control and, you know what I mean? Like, I think people don't think about that too. Like, well, how, if you felt safe in the world somehow, could you make that decision? Like if your beliefs were things work out, I do things for a reason, which is a good thing.
Yeah. And
in order to get to something better, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
But if you don't know that truth or believe in that truth, that stuck spot you guys are talking about seems real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. I think people operate out of fear, and people have a lot of fears. People are, are
yes.
And I think everything, I'm anxious and react emotionally to things and have these anxiety reactions. But I also think everything works out in the end. It just does.
Oh, that's good.
You have to say kind of yes to everything and make changes and just do everything, because the alternative is you don't do anything. Then you're just immobile, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm just like, why not do everything, meet everyone, try everything, and just hope and assume it'll work out in the end. And then you kind of ride through your anxiety to the other side.
Yeah. Well, how courageous of you. Yeah. Considering what a courageous combo of, you have anxiety, but you'll just go ahead because you have this other thought in your head. I think that's interesting.
I think you have to, I remember like you have to see the anxiety through. Like, it's kind of like the person asking those questions is what is it true? What will happen?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of anxiety is just a physical response. You're panicking whether you know you should be logically or not. And that has its own need to be dealt with. But in any kind of thing where you're kind of, where it's situationally based or something, you really just, you have to see it through to the other side. And ultimately it's not going to kill you. You're not going to die, and it'll end at some point. If you jump in the middle of a lake without a life vest on, it'll suck, but you'll just lay on your back and swim, and eventually it'll be over some way. So you don't really have a choice, just only because the alternative is to do nothing.
Yes. See, you have all that in your head. That's good things to have in your head to like keep you going. It really is, because people who don't have those little bumper car, bad things might just get stuck and stay there. I was thinking sometimes people would ask me like, oh, how did you even get on stage, or how did you even do bands or whatever? And I was like, because I have in my head, I am much more afraid of hitting 85 and not having done something. Like, for me, that will be way harder to deal with than getting on stage. Yeah. I won't be able to cope with that.
That's the same. That's how I feel too. And it's kind of what we have in common, I think, was just like this. There's a lot that sucks about this right now, or that's scary about it. But to not do it will ultimately make me so much sadder and just will give me more anxiety in the end of not having done it or tried it.
Yeah. See, I think that's good. But let me ask you, because we talked about this last time. So what's that?
There's always Xanax. So
that's true.
Exactly. Really, I got some over here. No. But we talked about this last time too. So, but like, what's underneath your anxiety? Is it biological? You said you sort of have had anxiety since you were a kid.
Well, honestly, I perhaps you remember a little drug called MDA. And, I did a lot of MDA, and in kind of high school years ish, and had a really bad reaction once, kind of just before I turned 18. And shortly after that, started having panic attacks. And I remember doctors, and it was just really like, what? How did these they just came on, and they weren't entirely foreign, but they were really scary. And doctors said that was really, really common with people who had used a lot of MDA. That
really,
it
does it burn out something?
Yeah, with your what do they call it?
The dopamine, or is it serotonin, or blah blah?
Serotonin, that it is kind of related to that, which which rang a bell, because there's something about the anxiety response and the panic response that actually is a lot like MDA, but like the evil flip side.
Yes.
Physically, that made a lot of sense. But so I think it's just something that really came on around when I turned 18. And it was pretty alarming. I mean, before that, I, had ease in terms of like, whatever, like public speaking or on planes or whatever. But then when you have a lot of anxiety and panic, and it comes on when you don't know it, you start fearing any situation where it would be bad to start panicking.
Yes.
Where you're kind of trapped in something, or and so it was really wild. It really affected, I was in kind of a public type job,
Yeah.
And and it was limiting what I felt comfortable doing. I mean, over the years, it would get better or worse, depending on various factors. But it's been something that's pretty much defined my life, I think.
Wow. I am sorry.
It's so incredibly terrifying that
it is.
That it's like it can't not kind of guide your life. And I mean, I joke about Xanax all the time, but it is kind of a great tool to have in your arsenal just in case. Yeah. When you go to the hospital with a panic attack, they give you Xanax, basically.
Yeah.
And so it is nice to know that there exists something that can address it, but and I don't have it chronically anymore, thank God.
Oh, good.
And but yeah, it's just it's something that I always hate it when people talk about like, oh, I get anxious too. It's like
not quite the same. Yeah, it's like people say they have OCD.
Out something that warrants anxiety. That's not quite the same. It's like something that.
Yeah.
You to the hospital.
Let me show you what a panic attack. Let me just inject a little experience. Yeah.
I mean, wild.
I didn't get panic until 2004. And again, I think it was like the summit of a bunch of things that happened. I felt like I was on a slow erosion and that I made some choices that were stressful. I think I had a breakup. I poured a lot of wine on that. And then I was, also older too. And so I was wearing myself out and in pain, depressed, and there's like stressed out at work is a particular stress too, because you feel like when you're in a state of somebody's watching, you better do a good job. It's hardcore. Maybe people are even mean. And that's the state you're in. And I remember having my first real panic attack. I was driving to work. And I was at the light at Denny where the elephant car wash was. And I remember just going, like, and I slowly drove to like work and parked, literally walked into work, like in tears, grabbed the gal who was there and she had to walk me to it was effing awful. Yeah. And then it was chronic. Like I wasn't out of the stress. I certainly didn't remediate any of my situation.
You can't, just quit a job. So you have job stress. You can't just walk away from it. So and it would be chronic.
Like you'd be out in a sunny day. Nothing's wrong. And I can't keep panic at bay.
Yeah, I know it so well.
I'm sorry, I'm bringing it all back.
No, it really is like a feedback loop. That's the thing. It's like, as you get it just keeps going and going.
Right. The more you recognize it, the more it happens. So you can't really talk yourself out of it because the more you acknowledge it, the more you get that snowball effect. So it's wild.
And I finally, hallelujah, got on citalopram.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah. Godsend.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on a real tiny dose, but boy, it sure works, of Lexapro, which is escitalopram or whatever. It's the other one.
It's so funny. Talking about like times where you feel depressed and medication too. Like I took that and then ended that. And then when my mom passed away and some other things were happening, I think I just was worn out again. But not all things work the same with everybody. So I remember my doctor giving me Lexapro and all I could do was drag a chair out to the backyard and sit in it. I felt like I was just a zombie.
Yeah.
But other people love it. And when that was happening, I went online and was just sort of looking at like people and what they take or whatever. And there are so many conversations out there about people saying, oh, it took me years to find the right combination. Yeah. And here I was sitting there feeling, you're this isn't really correct to say, but like chemically out of your mind or just something's wrong, right? It's chemical. And I was like, people spent years like this.
Yeah.
Trying to find the right combo. And I was like, oh, God, no. Like, I don't have time.
If you've got a bad doctor who's not willing to try experiment different stuff, then you're even more frustrated.
And they take a while before they take effect. They get worse before it gets better. And they all, the same thing will affect two people totally different. I was in the experimental group when it was still being considered as an experimental drug for Prozac. in
Oh, really?
86. Yeah.
What?
And all those were so weird. Like Prozac was fine. I liked it fine. I was never depressed. I took them for anxiety, and they just found that antidepressants work for panic and anxiety.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
it would just like, I don't know, try this, try that. Like Zoloft, which is considered a really benign one. I remember that made me crazier than I've ever felt in my life. That was wild.
Yes. I've taken that too. When I was having massive panic, the first thing they gave me was Zoloft. I came back the next day and I was like, hell no.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I can't even.
To last through it,
Yeah.
before it gets better. It's like I don't want it that 2 weeks of like hell. So
Yeah, and it's a lot of hell. It's not like I'm, because like I take Wellbutrin right now, just having, and sure, ramping up on it. There was some side effects of like, okay,
you're back.
Like, could you hear me? Yeah. So we're talking about Wellbutrin and just ramping up on Wellbutrin. Like, for some reason, I could handle those little side effects. Although if I thought about it too long, I was like, you're chemically altering your brain right now.
I know,
it was like, I can't think about it.
I hate thinking about that too, because it's like, I don't know. It's funny because, I did a lot of drugs when I was younger. And then since I started getting anxiety, I stopped everything. I literally haven't smoked pot. I haven't done anything since I was like, 17, turning 18.
Uh-huh.
And it's because when your mind kind of, what do you call it, rejects you, or tricks, the idea of like mind altering. I'm like, no, thanks. No, alter for me. Now, alcohol, I find works. I mean, it's, it doesn't present a problem for me, and it brings me nothing but joy.
Brings me nothing but joy. So do you feel like as you get older, though, it doesn't bring on any anxiety, like I don't know how much you drink either.
I don't like getting like drunk or hungover. Mm-hmm. If I drink too much to where I would feel hungover, you get the anxiety comes with a hangover. So I try to avoid actual kind of drunkenness and hangovers as much as possible, because it's not good, and that's when I was younger. I would quit drinking because I drank heavily, so it wasn't good for anxiety. Now, if I have 2-3 glasses of wine with dinner, that doesn't create any problem the next day, because
Yeah. Yeah. And as you get older, you really got to watch it. You know what I mean? Like you just, oh my God.
Yeah, no, I mean, a hangover now is a killer. So, so I would never, drinking to excess is the worst possible thing for anxiety, but drinking responsibly, isn't mind altering, so it doesn't.
I think like another point for me, like when I got married, like Marty and I got married quick and had Orion and boom, boom, boom. And then we moved to Minneapolis. And I think nobody's really ready for that or what that's going to bring on, especially being a parent and the complete lack of your own control when the sleep deprivation or whatever. And I think I mistakenly started to also, my life had altered so much. And I didn't know quite how to handle that. Like I was getting older. I was more responsible now. So summertime fun or what I was used to wasn't there, but you still kind of crave it.
Yeah.
And so like the quickest way to that is like some wine, prosciutto, and cheese.
Yeah.
But then it became a coping mechanism for me.
Yeah.
But then you're just chasing the hangover.
Ugh, right. Yeah.
It was bad. I mean, we all know. Yeah. And then it was bad and it becomes a thing. And I remember saying to a friend, like, I never sought alcohol when I was in bands. I mean, count the worst breakup ever. I never went, gotta get to a bar. Right. Never. Like, I just didn't think that way. It wasn't until I was challenged in other ways that I really was at a loss or in pain or, older, you've got so much mileage on you that it's just a bigger load.
And it's easy. I mean, there's something about,
oh God.
5 o'clock wine that maybe, oops, there goes the bottle, kind of like it's pleasant. It's easy. You're at home. It doesn't take any effort. You probably even, you still weren't, even when you were finding alcohol was a good coping mechanism. You still weren't like rushing to a bar to pound Long Island iced teas. It's
No.
just, a nice thing to know that you had it as an option at home. And
But
then you can speed up.
I will say, though, part of the routine that I loved was we were in Minneapolis, and when you go to buy anything alcohol, it's a whole separate store.
Mm-hmm.
And there was romance to me in that. And I don't drink beer. I can't drink beer. I don't drink hard alcohol. So going to a huge room that also had like a deli attached to it and picking another like flower of wine, was like a whole thing. And they make it that way. You know what I mean? Like, what shall I try next? And delicious. And it is delicious. Like I was telling Mike Squires, I was on his podcast and I was talking about it, and I said, I never did hard drugs. I've never been a pot smoker. It wasn't until then that I like found my evil mistress. I was like,
right.
A New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc or any kind of really good like Sauvignon or Pinot Grigio.
It's funny because it's like, you talk to heroin addicts that really talk about the experience of coping drugs is really exciting and fulfills something. And the tying off and the ritual of shooting up has a lot of appeal. And so it's kind of like that, except going to the cute wine shop with prosciutto and cheese.
Yes.
It's like your version of tying off and getting ready to shoot up.
The more socially acceptable version. It's still just as problematic.
Yes. It's funny. I work in wine, I'm the food editor at Wine Enthusiast, and I promote drinking wine, So it is funny because there's a lot of, and finally, there's more conversation about alcoholism in the wine industry and the restaurant.
Oh, really?
Everything else, which nobody really talked about before.
Yeah.
And it really, to me, it's like responsible drinking is so important because then you don't, if you have an alcohol problem, then you have to quit and then you can't enjoy it. Like,
right. Yeah.
Right.
The thing that sucks about not being able to drink is that you don't get to drink because it, can be such an incredibly interesting, beautiful, fun, delicious, thing, not to mention learning about, travel and history and people and places. And it's such a great thing that you really don't want to abuse it because then you don't get to enjoy it.
See, that's a great rationale. You got a boundary on yourself and a good one, like a thought boundary. Because a lot of times the things like I've either read about where your mind is at when you're in abusing alcohol is, there is a whole like neurotransmitter thing going on, the like prefrontal cortex. Like if you keep pinging your brain, like wine good, like you literally like, it's like Pavlov, you'll kind of salivate. And it's, so you have to, that's why I think it's really great that you have like a thought in there. That's like, this is a thing like good food that I really love. So I don't want to mess that up.
Yeah. And like, I know a lot of people like can't eat, a meal or at least a dinner without having a glass of wine or something with it. Mm-hmm. Whereas for me, I sure love doing that, but it's not like automatic. I don't like, okay, shoot, I have no wine. Where do I need something with this? It doesn't matter. I like it if I have something good and it makes sense with where I'm at, but I don't like.
Yeah.
Like with all things, you have to keep it a treat. You have to make it special. You have to if you have it all the time, it's not special anymore.
That's true.
Yeah. If you have a special dinner out there and all you can think about is like, where's my wine? Where am I going to get my wine? How much wine am I going to get?
You might have a wine problem.
You might have a wine problem.
I used to like travel to schools to tell them like, don't like, I would never say don't drink, but I'd say don't abuse drugs and alcohol. Because then you don't get to enjoy them, and they're awesome.
Right. Exactly.
I would let me go tell children that you don't want to be an alcoholic because then you don't get to drink every day.
That's kind of messed up.
That's cool. Didn't let me do that, but it's funny. It's funny to see. Well, we obviously saw, firsthand seeing people with drug and alcohol abuse, kind of how people enter into it and if and how they come out of it or don't come out of it. And I feel like all of that was, it was good to witness. I'm glad I have a lot of knowledge about drug and alcohol abuse, like firsthand knowledge through friend.
Yeah.
Because it's something that a lot of people, all the people getting screwed up on OxyContin and everything, that they just don't have knowledge of what drug addiction looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, I know someone who still keeps the breathalyzer testing in their car to start it years and years and years after stopping drinking. But they were like,
Oh, wow.
they're like, I don't trust myself. So that's going to stay there, and I'm like,
wow.
Impressive that they did it, and they still do it.
Yeah.
Like,
at least they know themselves.
Well, now, like with prescription, it's so sneaky. It's like how that comes into your life is a whole nother thing, right? Like I think about the people we knew, again, in our 20s who I feel like their issues with it came with them from their lives, right? Like we were kids and those kids were doing those things for reasons that were a part of their lives that we probably didn't even know about previously, right? How their upbringings and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But then we were with them and around them when they would pass away, right? And so it's kind of, to me, it's like kind of part of the shock. Like, wait, what? Like, what the hell is this? Like, I don't even know anything about you. Why did? Yeah.
And I think people don't, you're so all powerful when you're younger. So you never think that something else is going to get you. You're always the one in control of it. So I think when people start doing drugs, it's fun, they're partying. Then it's coping, which is still okay because it's nice to have a coping mechanism because it helps you cope.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get addicted and it's like, and I remember thinking, I was like, you guys, like we've already known people that got addicted. Why'd you start shooting heroin when you know that everyone thinks that they're not the one that's going to get addicted, because they're in control.
Yeah. Yeah. I just got done reading, oh my God, I just wish I had a book right here. Oh God, see, now I'm having a mind mess up right here. With people that we know, anyways, Jen Carr, and she knows Larry Schemmel.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason we were on Facebook messaging and Larry's like, oh, you should meet my friend. She has this book about her drug addiction, heroin in particular. And I literally was like, oh my God, I have it right here. Like I was just about to read it. And I just finished it last week. And again, she had issues with heroin and all that. But yeah, and explains like, but again, what I think about everybody too, I'm like, there were things in her life that led her there, right? I mean, not that they wouldn't lead everybody there, but a combo of like insecurities or abuse or, it starts much farther back than I think. At 20, I just decided to pick up heroin. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Although I do wonder what you think about like why would somebody, when you're right, been around so much of it, decide to do that?
Well, I think do it a lot. Nobody starts smoking thinking that they're going to die of lung cancer and spend 50 years saying they're going to quit smoking and never being able to do it. I think everybody, thinks that they're going to be the
exception. Yeah.
I mean, it's a slippery slope for real. It's like, cause you're like, oh, I could try it once. Right. And then you're like, oh, that was really great. And you're like, do it again.
Curious. I do other things and I haven't gotten screwed up. So why would I get screwed up on this? I don't, you kind of see it happen. And, I think people want to have experiences that are more and more extreme. You're kind of chasing more excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. It's interesting just how young, like just the people like Steph passing away or, obviously Kurt Cobain and Lane Staley and all of that, like, or Andrew Wood, or, I mean, plenty of people. Mm-hmm. You're right. At that young age, it was like, so like one day not.
Yeah.
And it would be not that you got used to that.
Well, and also remember, like with heroin, a lot of people die when they stop for a long time and then start again with the same dose that they were doing before. Mm-hmm. And so actually, a lot of times when they die, it's in the course of a cycle of trying to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So they're not just on this, people see it as this like continuous down slope. But usually when they die, they were in some sort of upslope of trying to understanding they had a problem and trying to get better.
Right. I mean, I lost a family member to heroin addiction, and it's like growing up around that is kind of what taught me to stay away from it all. I was like, oh, I really don't want that in my life. But like that was basically what happened with her. Was like it was on the upslope and like getting treatment and all that stuff, and then it kind of fell apart.
Yeah,
so it's such a pattern.
But
did we think the podcast was going to go here?
we never know where it's going to go.
Forward, we can move to the light.
I'm totally cool. No, but I was just laughing. I was like, I think all three of us later would be like, Jesus, how did we get on that?
Yeah.
It's a light topic of heroin addiction.
Yeah.
Apparently, hey, we're from the Northwest. Why did you think we were not going to talk about it?
Right. Always comes up somehow.
Well, I want to hear, okay, I am going to go back to, I want to hear, what is your job like? Because I will say this. So I had a friend, Kate, who owned a wine shop, and she had studied to be a sommelier here. And so in her shop, it was like miraculous things I'd never tasted.
Yeah.
Like literally flowers in a bottle. Like what?
Yeah.
And how it would like, I mean, really, I should just get to her shop. But it was really like, how is it I'm taking a drink of this and I taste a little bit of flour here, but then a minute later, what?
Yeah, it's true. It's incredible. I mean, I just, kind of in a nutshell, I guess you remember the whole time I was in music, I was still into food and cooking and
totally
food and catering people's weddings and whatever. And I kept doing that on the side and was doing a lot of food writing and things like that while I was working in music. And then that part kind of grew, the food and drink and music. I was, done it my whole life. So it was kind of less into that, I guess. So over time, I just started easing out of my music responsibilities and pursuing more food and wine opportunities. Yeah. So I do, various food and drink and wine related writing and things. I just think wine is really unique in the sense that, well, like you say, the possibilities of flavor are so incredibly vast. I mean, it can go, every kind of fruit and vegetable and herb and spice and flowers and soil and minerals and it's endless, the kind of things you can smell and taste in wine. Sorry, what were you?
Well, I was going to say, and I think most people don't know that or haven't really had the chance to taste incredible wine.
Yeah, because it's hard to have the chance to do it because it costs money,
It does, yeah.
And but it also, it's just culturally, it's one of the oldest foods in the world.
Yeah,
you have almost every part of the world, except the far north and far south, makes it. And so as you learn about wine, it's like it's such an intrinsic part of history and agriculture and politics and social issues and everything else that plays into it, that it's just, this kind of never ending, interesting thing to learn about. And because there's so many grapes and regions and winemaking traditions, it's the best example of the more you know, the less you know.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, the people who have devoted their lives to academic pursuit of wine, there's whole, grapes they've never heard of. I mean, it's really like an impossible field to fully,
I bet,
to quote unquote know, which is, when you're young, it's frustrating. And when you're older, it's exciting. I think when you're young, you think you know everything. And you're frustrated when you don't know something. When you're older and you discover things you didn't know, it's the best thing ever. You want to keep discovering things.
Yeah.
So it's so exciting. Even beyond tasting it, it's just exciting to have this thing that you're never done with,
Yeah, I was going to say that's great what you just said there. Like when you get older, you're excited to discover something new because you're going to really appreciate craving and learning something new. Like you don't want to reach your 50s and be like, oh great, now I know everything. Like that is depressing. It's like, now what?
David, you're even if your ego is fully invested in various things in other ways, in that way, your ego kind of goes away. You're like, great, give me more
Yes.
information.
Yeah.
I'm doing like kind of formal wine training with like, young kids that were, worked at a wine store or whatever. And they were like, this is school. I don't like it. I was just like, oh my God, all day. We get to listen to someone talk about wine, and then we taste wine, and then we talk about it, and then taste it. And then it just seemed like the most, what could be better than
Yes.
the wine school,
As a kid, I was taken to some wineries because I had a friend whose father was a wine importer, and like we would go to like wine tastings, and they would let us taste them and spit them out in the bucket and stuff. But I remember just being like, ugh, like this is the worst as a kid,
Right. And now I'm just like, I want my life to be wine school, like,
Right.
and
Because the learning will never end. You're right. And there are some like just magical tasting wines. Like it's like having your favorite chocolate, or not your favorite, but like delicacies.
Yeah. And it's like, every wine is different. Even the same bottle is different year to year, and sometimes it's different bottle to bottle. And again, all the other things that wine speaks to, and things that are involved and intersect with wine culture, it's just fascinating.
Yes.
Not food in general, but, in food ways. And now there's a lot of talk about a lot of studying of how food plays into various aspects of society and politics, and gender and race issues and everything else. And so wine is food, and it's part of that.
Yeah.
So anyways, to me, it's really fascinating.
Oh, totally. What would you say today? What are you fascinated by food wise right now? Like, what do you like making these days?
Yeah.
What are you interested in?
No, it's a good question.
I can't ask you your favorite because you'd be like, don't make me do that. Like,
Yeah.
I have a feeling you're into something. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think when you get into something, you're like way into it. And then you're like, okay, I'm done with that. Now I'm going to learn this.
Yeah, I am kind of like that. I feel like I guess during the pandemic, I was cooking a lot, but because I live alone, I don't get too complicated in things,
Totally.
But I like, it's always like getting kind of deeper into different countries' cuisines.
Ooh, yeah.
Being in Mexico, where I am usually, there's so many regional cuisines that are so different. And it's, I always like, traveling to different regions and kind of seeing how maybe similar dishes are done differently based on the place, or just completely different dishes altogether that only exist in one small state of Mexico and not elsewhere. But there's a lot of learning about different African cuisines that's been really interesting to me, because they're so complex, and spice mixtures and a lot of like long cooking and braising and things. And and it's, again, something I don't know a lot about. So it's really fun to learn more and more about it.
Yeah. I always liked watching some of the cooking show, like, real chefs doing things, because I don't know about what foods, like what mixtures have a reaction to each other, and what does that reaction create, in terms of the ingredients, or how you cook it and what that does to that particular food.
Yeah.
I find that the science.
Yeah, the chemistry side's super fun, because if you learn some of the basics, you can be more creative. You can safely, at least.
Yeah.
Well, and flavor combinations, you know what I mean? Like, if you put this and this together and you match it with like, like amazing flavor combinations.
And it's fun to like things where there's no rules, things that flavor combinations you would never have imagined in a million years because of your own, limited experiences growing up.
Yeah.
So something that's very common to somebody else seems really, quote unquote, foreign to you. And so to me, that's really exciting to see what, like, wow, I thought what I did was normal and this other thing would be weird, but of course not. There's, this kind of endless,
it's like my colleague today shared a herring sandwich, or pickled herring sandwich from Germany. And I was like, that looks horrible, but I was like, probably great. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, do you think a kid gets their palate shaped by like what your region or where you live. So pickled herring is something somebody grows up like delicious. Whereas if I've never had that in my life, I actually might taste it and go, oh my God.
Right.
Because I wasn't raised on.
Yeah, and that's, a lot of people are realizing now that, a lot of food media and just food culture is it's definitely Eurocentric.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of US centric, and it's definitely English language centric.
Oh.
And so, you think like when people talk about something that's exotic or that's a strong, flavor or something, it's like, well, to someone who grew up with that, it's not strong flavored, and they think blue cheese is gross, and whatever. Like, I don't know, like
totally.
And it's fun to continually remind yourself that our reference points and our histories are very, very, very limited, to our experiences and the experiences around us, or just we're not consuming. Most people aren't consuming media in other languages, so it's going to be we're consuming food information and food media from countries that speak English,
right.
And so you're limited by those references. And I mean, food is something that is it really varies a lot across the world, which is interesting. There's some things that are common among countries, but there's so many things that aren't. And you talk about some fermented fish dish versus Macedonian cheese versus whatever. I don't know. But there's an incredible range of flavors. So it's so when we talk about what we know about food or something, it's so limited.
Yeah.
Well, and think about this too. Think about how people's digestive systems are raised as well. Like if you handed somebody who grew up on like a fish, vegetable-based diet or whatever, and you handed them mac and cheese, like think about their system might really just go, oh my God. And like,
I mean, for sure. And I think cheese is an interesting one because I'm not sure how great like cow dairy is for people. I mean, I know like raw cheese is good because it has so many active enzymes and bacteria that is, good to consume generally.
Yeah.
But I think somebody who has never had, mammal dairy. Yeah. And then 40 years into their life, you give them a diet that's based around milk and cheese. That's got to be weird.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, like off and on, I'd say like every 7 years, I would head to a naturopath for like, because something would be wrong. One time it was like, I think I literally had just too much coffee and I actually was kind of yellow. I don't know. And because my digestive system wasn't working or wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. And then I had gone back. Every time I've gone back, well, when you go to a naturopath, often they'll take like an allergy test, but what your particular body reacts to is, they can take it with blood or pinprick or whatever. But I had always been told through a naturopath, like cow dairy, our bodies were not meant to eat cow dairy, especially what you're saying, like pasteurized, right? Like, however the U.S. treats it, like our bodies aren't meant to eat that. And so, I mean, dairy allergies there's a high percentile of that.
Yeah. And it makes sense. I mean, it's, milk is, humans produce it. And so it makes sense that we would eat human milk. But if other animals' milk exists in order for them to nurture those animals, why should we eat it?
There's an untapped human milk marketplace here, apparently.
Jesus, that's awesome. But I remember the co-op where Java Joe worked, like on 12th and 12th and how a block from how we lived, and there was the PCC co-op. I remember in the newsletter there was a great somebody's like, "Do you serve human cheese? I know there's a company." Why don't you stock human milk cheese? It's really nutritious, and I know there's companies that make it, and I wish you would stock it. And then somebody wrote like, that can't be real. Why did you send that joke letter? Of course, that's cannibalism and whatever. And then people wrote, human milk cheese is a very nutritious thing, and I would definitely buy it if they stocked it. And it ended up being this like year-long letter thing going back and forth about whether the PCC should stock fucking human breast milk cheese. Like,
But you know what? Okay, because you lived by there.
yeah,
You had the apartment by there. Okay, see, this is one of the things about you that I love, that I find that I think I've always thought about you too, because it's you pay attention. You seem, I don't know what it, maybe I haven't even nailed what it is. You are in and of the day. I feel like you will pay attention to what's happening at the market on the corner or the story, and then follow it. And then, but that, to me, that's somebody who's very I envied that, is what I'm saying. I'm very restless. And so I was like, he's in his community. Like, he knows what's going on. He's enjoying it. He's talking about it. Like, I can't even sit still. Like,
fascinating. I
love that.
Say, like, I don't know what, I don't want to retire because what would I do? And I don't, people that don't know what they're going to do. I was like, oh my God, like, if I didn't have to do things and I could just pursue whatever interested me, my God, there's no end to it.
Right.
Yes. I love that about you. I do. I really love that about you, because you're rich forever. I mean, there's always something new.
Yeah. There's always a human breast milk cheese conflict of all naturopath community.
Go
I mean, and I
next
think
door, I think. Maybe.
Yeah. And I also think you you can invite adventure at your corner market.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Also, I guess I want to talk to everybody and find out everything going on and get involved with everything. And,
I love that. That's great, right? I think that's great, because there is a lot of adventure and story out there to be told. How did you end up having a place in Mexico? How did you choose that?
I don't, since I was a little kid, I was obsessed with Mexico, and nobody knows why. Like, I only wanted Mexican food. I only wanted to hear Mexican music. I was just obsessed with it. Not, I grew up on Capitol Hill, like wasn't really based in anything, but
that sounds like a past life to me, Nils.
I mean, it really is. Something like that. Like, my mom says, like, when I was, really, really young, I, wanted to, if there was some, Mexican flavored dish, I would just shovel it in my mouth. I wasn't affected by spice.
Wow.
If Mexican music came on, I would stop crying and be happy. And so I don't know. But anyways, I just decided to start going there to see if, there was any reality to it, if I actually liked the country instead of just, perceptions of it in the US. And so started going in the 90s. The more I went, the more I liked it. And starting about 2001, 2002 was like, okay, I was making friends in Mexico City, going a lot, and was just like, I'm going to learn the language. I'm going to go there all the time. I'm going to really get to know it, instead of like going to like different places all the time. I'm really going to get into that city and see what I really. And it was just, the more I went, the more I liked it. I developed groups of friends there. And eventually I always kind of like maybe had deals with friends where I would stay in a room in their apartment so that I didn't have to, so that I could go a lot without spending a lot on hotels. I bought a place about 6 years ago. And it just was a great decision. I just love it.
Yeah. What do you love? What is it? Because only someone who's lived there and like you said, spent consistent time, made friends, knows the subtle things you like about that culture, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you're there, you've been in it. What are the things that you like?
Well, people always say, like, they're like, oh, you like Mexican guys? Like, well, yes,
Sure.
Everyone, it's not that. And it's like, oh, the food is great. It's like, yeah, of course, the food is great, and the whole food culture is something that I've spent a lot of time, traveling and learning about and stuff. But no, it's corny to say, but it's the people.
Yeah.
Amazing. And just really, it's a good combination of like a very, kind of family oriented, which includes friend oriented, loving, thoughtful,
Nice.
culture that's also kind of live and let live.
Oh.
So there's a lot of connection without a lot of expectation or obligation. It's a really religious culture, but without the bad, like with a lot of the better things of religion, and a lot of the worst things about it. I find it really kind of funnily accepting. Like, gay marriage was legal in Mexico City in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
and it's like the most religious place ever. But
Yeah.
That's cool.
so it's funny. It's just, so I don't know. I just think the people are really cool. They're really like, they're really they're really curious. They're always doing something. They always have a project. They always have a million different things going on. And something I really liked about Mexico City, which you can relate to, is everybody, all the different creative fields are, they know each other and they're interested in each other and they all interact. So like,
Ooh.
you know, the art people know the food people, who know the music people, who know the film people, who know the fashion people. And so there's this kind of intermingling of different creative fields where I found
Nice.
in Seattle and New York, the music people hung out with music people, and the, you know, movie people hung out with movie people. You know, there wasn't a lot of interaction with that. Whereas in Mexico, you'd find all these people have different projects, and a lot of people weren't just, you know, somebody might have a gallery and a food-oriented company, and we're investors in a movie theater, and and they just knew each other and interacted. I mean, a lot of that is based on money and class and privilege. You know, the people who are able to have a creative life in Mexico have the means and privilege to do it.
Okay.
And it's a smaller part of the population, and maybe, you know, it's reasons that they know each other. But I just liked that, you know, coming out of a music scene where it was all about music, and every music people, all their friends are in music. Everything is a million.
Yeah.
And there it was, people were involved in a lot of different, or interacting with a lot of different creative fields.
See, I love that. Yeah. I love that, because I did feel that in Seattle, but because I'm constantly curious, like just sitting in one scene it's, you know, boring after a while, because one, Seattle also was small. It's sort of like, okay, you know, but and you want to keep learning about, like, oh, what did the theater crowd do here? You know what I mean? Or the filmmakers. And I kind of knew a smattering of people through other friends, like my friends who weren't in music, you know, like Allie was in acting, right? Like Samara was, you know, new film people. So did Allie, right? So you just end up we knew Charles Mudede when he first moved there. So he was writing, and I just always was like, it made everything way more interesting.
Yeah.
And a bigger picture than just being in a band. I prefer that. So I love that. I love that a lot.
Better art. When you have broader references and experience more things, and
more diversity is always better. It's like the more you experience, the more you can, you know, produce stuff that's based on those experiences. You know?
Definitely.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I bet you get this deeper sense about the people too, because you speak the language. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother level. You get to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you know how somebody talks.
Yeah. And it really, for sure. And that's just changed the ease that I can kind of roam around the country with, you know, like I can just kind of hop on a bus and go somewhere and not fret about like how I'm going to get around or communicate or where I'm going to stay or whatever. I can just, and especially with food, you know, I can, you know, especially in, you know, Mexico City, and people in the arts, and, you know, people who have wealth, you know, have maybe better education, and they might speak English and other languages. But you know, if I'm talking to a farmer in the field, and who's growing chilies, I'm curious about what they are, what they're called, how they're used, what, you know, like I really try to get into these conversations with people at markets and when I'm traveling around, and they don't speak English. So, I'm trying to get these very involved conversations about ingredients.
Yeah.
And it really helps, you know, it just helps because again, I was kind of interested in stuff. So,
right.
I spent a year. So before like being in bands, I spent a year in France, because I like kind of like you and Mexico, like I was always had a fascination with France. I don't know why. And like out of high school, I got to go for a month. And then I was determined, I wanted to speak, and I knew I was a terrible student. So I was like, I just need to get a job. And everybody needs to leave, and I just need to, you know, get through it. Yeah. And when that was done, like I really had like a different picture of like how people express themselves, what their humor's like, what do
Yeah.
they sound like, how do they use their words when they're getting mad? You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
just paints another layered picture of, I mean, again, I was in one place, you know what I mean? It's a whole country, so it's not like I knew everybody, but I knew more than your average Joe about like, again, how some of the French express themselves. Like, and I
Yeah.
noticed the difference, you know, like the French are, our French is way more animated, and when you're getting mad, it's more dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah. It and I mean, of course you didn't, but you know, it's like if you had that experience with no French versus a lot of French, even you're just in one place for a limited amount of time, but you're having a
Yeah.
much different experience than you would the other way. And I find it's fun for me just to be on like, you know, the WhatsApp group for our condo or the, you know, just the kind of daily business that I do, just
Yeah.
thing and email and whatever. And you learn a lot about the culture that way, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
You're trying to evict a tenant or, you know, whatever. Like,
Oh yeah, and like how is that handled?
yeah.
Like what is the pace of things getting done there? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and what's the philosophy behind that? Like,
It's a really formal culture, which I really like
wow.
because it's very
What do you mean?
sweet. Like, just there's a lot of like, you know, just kind of greetings or how people just relate to each other. Like, you would never like, you know, pass a neighbor and not say hi and have a brief conversation, and everything is very like, you know, I don't know, you just stop to get a juice or something and you're like, you know, oh, you know, how is your day? Oh, of course, beautiful, you know. There's just a lot of like niceties.
Oh.
So the opposite of the Scandinavian Seattle culture.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally the opposite. And also again, like with dealing with like business affairs or intra, you know, like the fights among, you know, all the condo owners on a thread or something is so funny because it's like, you know, oh, what a, you know, I could not respect your viewpoint more. What a beautiful way to look at it. And I hope your family has been good and everything. And we are going to sue you tomorrow. And you know, it's these like really ornate
Yes.
ways of like getting to something like, you know.
Yes, because it's like the French are very, you know, like I cannot believe, like when you're mad, like I cannot believe you've said what you've said. Do you, you know, like do you see like what you've done or whatever? Like, pff, oh, woof, you know, like such a like dramatic, like it's like they're extremely put upon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh,
you know that show Call the Agent? Or Call
yes,
the
yes,
Agent?
yes.
A friend it's a French, they say it's kind of like the French Entourage, like it's just for Ryan, like it's about a talent agency that represents actors. And so each episode will have real French actors playing themselves, but in a fictional thing. And a French friend was saying that like, it's great that everyone likes it and watches it and thinks it's funny, but you have no idea how funny it is because there's so many little just tone things that you can't get in subtitles, you know, and cultural things that they're poking fun at that you would never get if you don't know these microscopic cultural references.
Yes, exactly. Another thing I noticed too is like some of the joking would be like, oh, what's funny is to mix your words up. Oh, you know, or say things backwards. And it's like, well, all right.
He called me by a different name.
Yeah. Well, and I just remember then, and this is a long time ago, but I'm like, sarcasm isn't in there. Like I would mess people up all the time with sarcasm I was used to, like just sort of like, yeah. And they're like, yes.
You know, like, how do you even function without sarcasm?
That was sarcasm, you know, like, well, theirs is just dramatic. Well, eye rolling or just not all the time, but just sort of like, it's like you're being put out like, oh, won't you, you know? But also I've never lived in, it's different wherever you are, like living in Paris. And
it's like, it feels for me to say how, you know, how
I get what you're saying though.
Are or aren't, you know, Like, who am I to make
Yeah.
those statements? But anyways, it's been really rewarding, and it's something that the more time I spend there, the more I like it, which is a pretty good quality for a place.
Yeah. Do you feel at home? Like I guess at a younger age when I did that, I actually came home and started studying Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
But at a young age, I couldn't go live in another country that wasn't my home. I think it was hard for me.
I do. Yeah, it does. I think about like, well, what if I was there full time? I usually go for a few months and leave, but for the pandemic, I was there for 10 months and it felt great,
That's good.
Then when I just went back there after leaving for about 2 months or so and then went back, I was like, oh, when I got back into my apartment, it felt like home, it felt
nice.
So yeah, it does, which is odd. I mean, there's things that are, I think being there permanently long term might grate on me, but there's things that if I lived in Seattle again, that would
anywhere you live for a long time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But so many things in Seattle now would grate on you.
It's so weird to be here. It's also, there's so many funny things that like it's the gray thing, which I love the weather, but it's dark. And so I'm like, is it getting dark early? But it's just cloudy.
It's a little bit of both. Yeah. I mean, the days are getting longer again, but still.
The quality of the light, kind of. I'm just not used to it. I went outside the other day and there was dew, like morning dew on the deck railing. And I was like, oh, it's raining. Like, how did it get wet? I didn't see the rain. Like,
how'd it get wet? Are you, so when you're there, so you came back, did you came back just to get your shot?
To Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I totally get that. I was like, when are you coming back? I want to see you.
You're in Tacoma, right?
I'm in Tacoma. Yeah. But I can drive.
Yesterday I went with a friend he's a wine distributor, and I was like, well, I'll tag along. We can he had just been tested, and we're just going around to do some tastings and drop stuff off for people. And he was going to we met around Gasworks, and we went to Burien, and then to Mercer Island, and then to North Seattle. I was like, oh my God, these are things that would have taken me months to do when I was younger.
Yes.
You even get you're doing an errand on Mercer Island? Oh my God.
Who goes there?
Yes.
So now I'm like, hell, Tacoma, it's only, it's 30 minutes.
I'm serious.
No problem.
I remember when I moved to West Seattle, people were like, oh my God, it's so far away.
We'll never see you again.
We'll never see you again. That or Ballard. Or no one would consider North Seattle or Everett or what. You're right. Isn't that funny? That is so true that I
just feel as a kid, I don't, maybe when we drove to California, we passed through Tacoma, but I don't think I ever went to Tacoma.
Right.
Until Girl Trouble and shows and things like that.
Sure.
But now I'm like, well, why not? You can just get an Uber and go to Tacoma. Why not do that?
Exactly. Well, I had a girlfriend her dad lived in Burien when we were in college. And I remember where are we?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my aunt always lived in Burien. It was we saw her at holidays, Travel to Burien was just not possible otherwise.
Why is that? Why?
I know there was less traffic back then too. So
and there was less traffic, but it was also, it's such a walking city. You didn't go very far, I guess. But
no, I think you're right. I think that's a part of it. I mean, there was room. You could walk. What you needed was close by. Why would you go? Yeah. Why would you go that far?
Yeah, you weren't looking for an excuse to get in your car for a long time.
No,
that's true.
And now I think people are just living in their cars, so they don't think it's easier for them to bop around like that.
I think it's true. They need city dwellers though too. I remember visiting people in Hoboken, New Jersey, and they had never been to New York City, and I'm like, it's right there,
right there. Yeah, I mean
that's crazy to me.
Well, why would I go to Burien? I live down.
There's nothing good in Burien. Come on.
Yeah. Except my aunt door.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. But that's so funny to think about, just now knowing so much more. And you're right. Now having driven so much more of an area of the whole places I wouldn't have gone before either. Well, and the other thing I think we were talking about last time is one, how crowded Seattle is. And I remember saying to you or somebody, I was like, I remember in Seattle when, you'd go out on Friday or Saturday, but nobody was out and about on Sunday. Like maybe you'd go to your breakfast place.
Yeah.
But
a lot of
otherwise,
stuff wasn't even open on Sunday. Like
yes.
not long ago.
Yeah,
downtown was a ghost town.
Yeah. And also there's no, that's something I really like about, any city except Seattle, but about Mexico City is there's a street life, there's people, the streets are full of people and people are getting together and having meals on Sunday afternoon, and people are sitting in parks having coffee and talking. And there's this kind of urban street life, that people are walking and shopping and talking, and it is a car city. Like everyone has a car, but that's just to get to work or whatever, you're not, it's not that thing here where there's like no one on the street because everyone's at the car,
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of other cities in the U.S. are like that, where it's, people live in their cars instead of on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. Yeah, you're totally right. Now I totally want to come visit. I'm sure I've asked you that before. I was like, okay, now I just had this wild idea, and you're going to laugh, Nils, but I think it's a good idea. I was like, I think we need to have you on periodically, and with the purpose of you have to go on adventures, because when you come back, I'll be like, okay, where have you been?
Right. We could do that.
Yeah, I'm kind of into that. Like, you're going to come back and bring back the information from wherever you've been. And that's your job, at least.
Sure. Yeah, we do it periodically when I have a good adventure. And now like travel's opening up and I'm getting vaccinated. And so I feel like I'll be doing a lot more.
Oh, that's great. So I would love, I would love to come on a trip with you sometime. Like,
it'd be so fun.
Some food and wine place. I'm like, okay, where are we going? Well, let's go do all of it.
And the thing is, like, it's so like, you'd be so fun because you're curious and game, So, yeah, there's so many. Well, I built a house in the Yucatan, and in a town called Valladolid in the Yucatan, kind of equidistant between Cancun and Mérida. So you can fly to either airport.
Ooh.
About 90 minutes from either.
Okay.
And it's the greatest town in the world. And so you'll have to come down there because that'll be kind of like vacation-y, because I'll have a pool and stuff.
See, that
I want that.
That sounds good. Yeah, you got to do that.
I'll play music for you.
It's it's really culturally interesting. It's historically interesting. It's really close to Chichen Itza and a lot of the cenotes and a lot of the exciting stuff of Yucatan. So that's an option too.
I'm reserving my spot. I will bring meditation and song and cheer.
I'm just inviting myself. I got nothing to bring.
Yeah. Hey, we should definitely do the podcast from there. Be you know what, suckers?
I got the audio equipment.
We'll just be like zoning out by the pool with a drink. Like, what'd you do today?
Whoa, look at that bird. Just talking about things no one can see, so they're just irritated. Oh my God. Well, do you think we talked about all the stuff or enough of the stuff? Remember when we left off?
I mean, we could keep going forever, but I think we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah,
we've gone up and down.
I do have the age-old question, since we have you.
Yeah.
What's the most authentic Mexican restaurant in Seattle?
Oh, well.
Because people will fight over this forever. So. Yeah,
it's true. And it's funny because growing up here, well, first, I think the word authentic is a little tricky. Like, I don't think.
Oh, absolutely. It's a loaded question.
And it's no one's job to call anything anyone else does authentic or not. But I obviously know what you're asking. The problem is, growing up here, I really like kind of Seattle Mexicans. They're the things that I grew up with. So I'm not looking for, when I'm in Seattle, I don't want like Mexican food that is akin to what you get in Mexico, because I'm in Mexico all the time.
Right. So you're spoiled. Yeah.
When I'm here, I don't go to those places because I want to go to El Farol, formerly Jalisco's.
Yeah, good stuff.
And El Gallito, and these places that are, somebody maybe who had never been to them and would be like, what the fuck is this place about?
Yeah.
For me, it's these flavors that I crave that I can't get in Mexico.
Oh.
But I do really, really, really like the Mezcaleria Oaxaca on Pine and Belmont, I think.
Yeah, that sounds great. I haven't been there in a while.
I know what you're talking about.
It's
Yeah.
They had La Carta de Oaxaca in Ballard.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
others, and now he gave La Carta to the chefs, and we're from Oaxaca, and now he just has the Mezcaleria. But the food there is really, really great, and the woman is still there is from Oaxaca.
That's cool.
And they, yeah, but yeah, I haven't. I know there's a lot, but I just don't. In the years that I've been gone, when I come back, I tend not to go to the hot and authentic Mexican restaurants. So
do you remember Mama's?
Mama's?
Yes.
I spent my whole life.
I know it was a dumb question.
Not
I was
really
just like,
food exactly.
Right,
not
right.
exactly.
They had food. And it was pretty good.
Yeah. Always do it was the Screamer enchilada, which was the like sour cream saucy. But I remember you could get, I think they just called it the Syndrome, and it was off menu, and it was like rice and beans with a salad and tortillas, and it was like $2, but it filled you up. And
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
They just had strong drinks.
The bracelet I'm wearing, my friend Sharon gave it to me in the late 80s, and she gave it to me at Mama's, and it was too small. And so we spent basically pounded 10 margaritas, had a bucket of ice water, a stick of butter to try to get it on, have my hand in ice water so it wouldn't swell up, and eventually shoved it on my hand. And it's been on my wrist ever since.
No way. Show me.
Yeah.
For 35 years or something.
Wow.
Oh my God.
It's permanent.
That's amazing. We need a picture of that.
And it's like my tattoo. It's just there.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been on since 89, I think, something like that.
Okay, you need to take a picture of that because we're going to put it on
Okay,
the...
It could be the
Yeah,
show
we
art.
will.
Yeah.
We're going to show it like art because that's been on your body for that long. I love it.
But yeah, Mama's, I feel like, was the source of so many fun times, just drinking.
Oh my God.
They're really cheap happy hours and drinking before shows. And so many people used to work there. And I mean, such a...
Yeah. Yeah. In Belltown, for folks who maybe aren't here, Belltown was a hub. Now it's starting to get kind of dismantled. So
yeah.
that's
And
a bummer.
Belltown was always weird. They're always kind of trying to get people to move there and make it a thing.
Yeah.
It just never quite worked. But Mama sure got people there.
Oh my God. That place was around forever. I think it's closed now, right?
I think it just closed.
Just
I feel like
closed.
it's been going around Facebook or something that Mama's.
Yeah. I know. One more down. That's just so sad. Yeah. Well, I'd rather go to your house. So
Yeah, please. I'll cook for you. I want nothing more than to just cook little snacks for people all day by my pool.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is like a dream come true. God. When is the house finished? I'm serious.
Pretty soon.
Boop. I want that. Okay. Well, you maybe need to send out a postcard, take all of our addresses and have a house.
Yeah, send it out. It sounds very luxurious, but I'm basically just everything I own in the world is going toward this, cheap, modest house. But
Sure.
It's just, I'd rather have, I don't know, somewhere cool to live instead of a
Yes.
Absolutely.
retirement.
Yes, exactly. I know. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Nils, I love, how much I love you.
Oh, I love you too. I'd
Yeah.
love to see you while I'm here or just soon in general.
Yes. Yeah. How long? Now, are you only here till Sunday?
Well, I just, I have to, the vaccines are a month apart.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
But I kind of need to go back to New York. So I might go to New York in between those times. So,
Well, we'll keep in touch. And when you get your second vaccination, who knows, maybe I don't know where I'll be on that. I don't know. I'm really low on the roster. So, but we will figure it out. I'm too healthy. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
For
we'll
sure.
figure it
And
out.
This is good in the meantime. It feels like seeing you. So
I love it. I could do this all the time. Yeah. Okay. Well, safe travels. I hope the whole inoculation or whatever goes well.
Yeah.
fabulous. I just know it.
I love it. Okay. Well, I'll see you
Thanks so
soon.
much. All right.
Thanks for coming again.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.